Hello everyone, my name is Theropod7, you can call me Thero, and this video is everything you need to know about the upcoming release date of Gekishin Squadra, or previously Project Multi. So to start off, we have a release date being September 9th, we also have some information about helpers, which I believe is new. Previously we had a ton of helpers, but in the recent network test we only had a few, but starting with characters, the first we had revealed was Cell. He's a tank that transforms via gauge from imperfect to perfect, and his concept is training life force to transform and be tankier. I'll be showing the footage in the background whilst I share my thoughts, so if you'd like to see his skills, I won't explain him to keep it shorter, but you should see them appear on screen. Now, he's the only new tank we're getting on release, and I'm pretty excited to play him. He seems to have a really neat moveset, and I can see his potential with sniping on his ultimate. I'm curious to see how his ability will change across transformations, because all we've seen is the max level ultimate. Transformations and levels, because all we've seen is his max level ultimate. So we don't know if the trapping effect is a constant, or perhaps it could be a much shorter duration. But I can tell he's definitely going to be going to have some pretty good synergy with certain characters. And he seems like he has some decent offensive capabilities, as well as naturally defensive, since he's a tank. But up next is Android 17, who, to be honest, initially I was pretty salty over, because Android 17 is a very popular character. He's in almost every game, and they never make him interesting in any game that he's in. But thankfully, I was very pleasantly surprised that they made him a technical. And his concept is protecting allies and himself with barriers. Now, Android 17 seems like he's going to be a pretty big team player. In his trailer, he's just supporting allies with barriers, and his ultimate, in particular, makes you pretty much invincible, it looks like, and it pushes enemies far, far away, while still damaging them, which seems to me pretty good. Though I wouldn't say he's broken or anything. It just seems like he's gonna have some pretty bad damage, I think. But I think it's just to compensate. Um, though it might make him more annoying than he is as an actual threat, which might suck to fight him, but he does seem pretty straightforward. But anyway, up next is definitely my favourite new character, and the one I'm looking forward to the most, that being Hit. Now, Hit really emphasizes the general term that is technical as a class of character, because the term technical means to be this archetype, you have to, as it says, be technical. He looks to me like he'll have pretty good damage, but they especially designed him to be, rather than just a damage, they made his moveset very unique, and he relies on stealth and debuffs in order to disorient and ambush enemies. So they could have just made him a damage, but I thought it was really cool that they did make him a technical rather than a damage, because it allows him to have I guess it allows the game in general to be more varied and a lot more interesting. So on release, I'll be very interested in checking him out. And hey, maybe in future it'd be nice to see if, more interesting to see if it's more viable to have a healer or a damage type of technical, or etc. Like debuffs and whatnot. But enough yapping. His concept is to disorient enemies with the fear of death, which is a debuff, and approach unseen to finish the job. Now, up next, Gammas 1 and 2. These guys easily feel like the most simple and straightforward of the new releases. Their concept being a tag team of Gammas 1 and 2, who differ between 1 with large AoE attacks and 2 with good single target damage. Join forces and use combination attacks. This is exactly as it says on the tin. This character, or characters rather, is simply the first tag character that we're getting in Gekishin. But there is one part of this character which does remain pretty unique to me, and that's how they power up or become more effective when both gammas are in play. Because, you see, both of them have their own health bar, completely separate. And killing one makes you switch to the other. But if both are alive, then their attacks become more effective, such as having a larger AoE radius and more damage. And, by the way, both of them have proportionally smaller health bars, so you don't need to be worried about them being very annoying. Because if you see in the trailer, Goku, who is the same level, is pretty much double. I think it's Gamma 2's health bar that I saw in the clip. And then Gamma 1's, which is, and again, also half. So if you add them up together, they'd be about around Goku's. But anyways, on to the last character, who is definitely the most disappointing, which is Kale. Now, this video is not made for the purpose of me hating on Kale for being included in this game, so I'll just, shut up and get to explaining her. Her concept is having two natures, being a supporting character from the backlines, and in her berserk form, wreaking havoc on the front lines with destructive power. The most interesting part about Kale is her super attack is what transforms her into berserk, giving her for a short time, an extremely powerful rush attack, high speed, and a gigantic health bar. Which is pretty interesting. We have not seen this before. I guess the closest we've got is King Gohan, who's on Transformed. He gets a big buff, but he gets to just fight normally. And then if he presses it again, he gets he does a Masenko with a giant AoE. But this is just purely a powered up state. You can't use any super attacks, you can only rush attack, but it's okay because the rush attack does so much damage. Now, I think this kit is pretty interesting. I do like it, which is why it's a shame that for all characters to be stuck on, it had to be Kale. But I digress, going off point. For now, apart from Goku Mini, that is every character we know about that is getting added to the game for full release. Goku Mini, I decided to not mention in this video because we've known about him for an extremely long time, and I thought I'd just keep it short. Just short and sweet, really. But just last closing thing is we do have new information about helpers, which I'll share now. So first of all, we now know that any helper can be used on any role, whereas previously you could use helpers that corresponded to your role, supposedly. I'm not sure how this works, but we did see footage of it happening in a Japanese gameplay stream with developer Toshi, where a character, I could not remember who it is, but I'll likely show the image, which will definitely show, represent it, is, I think, probably a damage character used, I think it was Icarus, which is a tank's helper. Icarus is basically just something that lets you do a second teleport, which is a feature every character has, just so you can get out of a bit of trouble. If you activate it, I think that's what Icarus was. Either that or Icarus lets you fly in one direction very fast. I'm pretty sure that's it. Which is interesting. So we don't know if that will be on full release, but we did see it, so there is a big potential. And another thing about helpers is likely, I think we're going to go back to the way it was before, where you have a ton of helpers that you can get by pulling. Because if any of you remember, likely you don't, because I was one of 5 people who played the original beta. There was so many helpers. Um, I remember Bacterian. I remember Goten. I remember Bulla. I think there was like 2 tiers of helpers. Like one tier of the ones that we saw on the network test, which were like kind of basic, and then there were a further up tier which were much more rare, um, which had I think more specific effects or more unique effects. But regardless, for now, on I think it is just 3 days to go. It is the 6th right now, and it releases on the 9th. We have um, every everything that we know so far, I believe. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But that's it for now. I plan to cover many other things on Gekishin Squadra, previously multi, and yeah, right. Thank you for listening. Please support. I don't think I have to mention it, but pretty small channel does really help, and it would as well if this video got out and reached more people. Now, in the future, probably quite soon, I plan on releasing a bunch of character guides. I will start off with Goku, Vegeta, and Krillin, because before the game releases, I'm pretty positive I can release them without an issue, without worrying about being incorrect due to changes, because of every character in the game, the 3 of them probably aren't going to change. Probably some nerfs here and there, especially for Krillin, who was so broken in the network test. It was not even funny. Easily the best character who wasn't a tank. Um. Anyways, yes. Thank you. That's all I have. Goodbye.